Hi everyone, I'm Danielle, the Mom Ambassador Liaison here at Mom's Meat. Thanks for joining us today for the Lundberg Family Farms webinar, which will be presented by Jordan Schultz, Ashleigh Eastman, and Ashley DeLory from the Lundberg team. If you guys have any questions, please be sure to type them into the chat window. With that said, Jordan, please take it away.
Hi, thank you so much, Danielle. I'm so happy to be here today. Our presentation we're going to be giving is on whole grains, how to incorporate whole grains into school lunches and snacks. So just starting out, just a little bit about Lundberg Family Farms. We are a family-owned food company located in Northern California. We have been growing rice here actually since 1937. We specialize in organic brown rice and rice products, and we are also starting to branch out into other whole grains as well. We are a champion of organic agriculture, sustainability, non-GMO food, and healthy lifestyles. Our main presenter today is Ashleigh Eastman. She has a master's in nutrition and food science from California State University at Chico. She became a registered dietitian in 2011. She joined our team here at Lundberg in 2012, and she is a certifications and consumer response manager, and she provides nutrition-related guidance to our company consumers and employees. So with that being said, Ashleigh, why don't you go ahead and take it away here?
Thank you, Jordan. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about, since we're going to be talking about how to incorporate whole grains, is actually what is a whole grain. So when we're looking here, we've got the anatomy of the whole grain on the left. And when we say whole grain, we're actually talking about the entire grain. So that's every portion of the grain that you can see there with the original kernel. So that's going to include the bran, which is kind of that protective outer shell that you see on the outside there. And that's going to be really high in fiber and B vitamins. And then we have the germ at the bottom of the kernel there. And that's actually the seed, or what is going to become the plant of the grain. And that has some B vitamins, protein, and minerals, and also healthy oils in it. And then we have the endosperm, which is that big beige portion of the kernel there. And that's going to have your starch, your protein, and your vitamins and minerals in it. So we can have different processes occur, such as cracking, crushing, rolling, pearling, or polishing of oats and cooking them, and they can still provide those same nutrients that you would get from a regular whole grain. So an example of that would be something like a rolled oat that you would make oatmeal with. The difference is when we get into something known as a refined grain. So that's when we're taking things like the bran and the germ off of the grain. So you're left with the endosperm, and you're really missing about 2/3 of those essential nutrients once you do that. Some people will try to help off-balance that when they're making a product by enriching it or adding some of those nutrients back in, but you're still really only returning a few of those nutrients. So you're still missing some of the nutrients that you would get in a whole grain, even though they've enriched it a little bit. All right, so there are many, many different types of whole grains, and you can see here they're all listed. We got some great examples. And these also include, like when we talk about corn, we're talking also about popcorn, cornmeal, and when we look at rice, it can be any type of rice. So it could be a brown rice, a wild rice, a colored rice. Those are all different types of whole grains. And then you'll see there's amaranth, buckwheat, and quinoa. They all have a little star next to them. And the reason why is because those are known as pseudo grains. So the reason is because they're actually in a different botanical family than the rest of the whole grains that are listed. But we get to consider them a whole grain because they have the very similar nutrient profile, preparation, and use as our whole grains would. A lot of these have a lot of great benefits as well. So quinoa has all of the essential amino acids that we're looking for. So these are just some great examples. So a lot of times when people think of whole grains, they might only think of a few different things, but really there's a lot of different options that we can look for when we're cooking up whole grains for lunches and snacks. So these are just some of the benefits of whole grains. We know research has shown us that it can reduce the risk of chronic disease, and of course it provides our body with those nutrients that we need to keep us going on a daily basis. So fiber is in there, which is going to be really important, not only for adults, but kids as well. So it can help with constipation and also that feeling of fullness. So if you have if you've got a little one going to school and they have a snack that's got a lot of whole grains in it, that'll help them feel full until they get to lunch. So they're able to concentrate and continue working throughout the day. We also have a lot of B vitamins in whole grains. So these are going to be important for metabolism. They help our body release energy from the food that we're eating, so protein, fat, and carbohydrates. They're also very essential for our nervous system. And then we also have iron, which is going to be good for helping carry oxygen in the blood. Magnesium, again, this is really important for kids as well when we're looking at a lot of growth going on at this time. So with building of bones and releasing energy from muscles, it's going to be really important for them. And then selenium as well, so supporting a healthy immune system. And we know kids are around a lot of other kids all the time, passing things back and forth, so that if they have a strong immune system, they're going to be less likely to get sick. So when we look at how many whole grains are actually needed in a day, the recommendation is to make at least half of the grains that we eat whole grains. So you can see here we have dietary guidelines for whole grains, what the recommendations are, and these are actually based on age and activity level and gender. So you'll see them start to differentiate a little bit as kids get a little bit older. And then we also have on the right-hand side a way for you to figure out how many whole grains are in different products. So we know, okay, for girls that are 4 to 8, they need 2 to 4 servings or ounce equivalences of whole grains, which is about 16 grams per serving. If we look at a product and it has this whole grain symbol that's on the right, the first one there, that's going to guarantee that you're getting a half of a serving of whole grains or more per serving. So a half a serving of whole grains would be about 8 grains. And then if we have the one that's on the far right, which is whole grains with that 100% little symbol on there, that means that there aren't any refined grains in there. So like I was talking about when you're removing those outer portions of the kernel, that won't be happening in something that's 100% whole grain. And not all companies do have these little logos on their boxes to let you know. So if they don't have it on there, the second best place to look is in the ingredient section, and you'll see things like whole grain brown rice, whole wheat. So that will be your indicator of what types of whole grains are in the product. And then, of course, the higher it is on the ingredient list means there's more of that ingredient within the particular product. All right, so if we look at what would be a serving, so again, one serving would be about 16 grams of whole grains. We have half a cup of brown rice or any other grain or pasta, whole grain pasta would be a serving. A half a cup of, hot cereal like an oatmeal would be a serving. A slice of whole grain bread or even an English muffin. And then also whole grain ready to eat cereals as well count towards those servings of whole grains. So there's a lot of different options. Some that take a little bit more time to cook, some that are really fast and easy. So here are some quick cooking whole grains. If you're looking, you're doing some prep and you want to make some lunches and you don't have a lot of time, these are 2 great ones that you can use. The first is a brown rice couscous. So this is different than your regular couscous that might be just processed white flour. This is actually made from brown rice. So you get your whole grains in there. And it cooks up in about 13 minutes, and then you just let it sit for about 10 minutes with the lid on, and then it's done. It's really mild in flavor, so you can add all sorts of different ingredients to it. Any of your kids' favorite veggies could go in it to make a great salad, or if you wanted to do a warm side, you can add fun things like cranberries and raisins and cinnamon to it. And then the other one we have is quinoa. So this is going to cook up in about 15 minutes as well. So really quick and easy. And then again, it's a good base to add any of your favorite mixings to. Some that take a little bit more time to cook are going to be things like short grain brown rice and wheat berries. And you can see here, you know, you might have them cooking for almost an hour or so. But what's nice about these is, you know, if you're trying to prep meals or snacks for the week, if you make up a big batch of the rice on Sunday and then let it cool, you can make up lunches as you're going throughout the week or snacks, or you could make them all at once and have them just portioned out in the refrigerator and ready to go. And then you don't have to take that long period of time to cook it during the week when things are really busy. All right, so those are some different types of grains that we can look at cooking as far as different cook times. And now let's look at some ideas of how to incorporate whole grains into lunches and snacks. So the first one we have here, some examples. These could be lunches, but they could also be snacks as well. I put them in lunches because they're really portable. You know, they can go in lunch boxes, they can get smashed around, and it's not going to do much harm to them. The first one we have is a whole grain English muffin pizza. So the base of that pizza is going to be where your whole grain is. And then you can decorate it however you'd like. This one's got a smiley face. One of the other things you can do too is let your kids decorate it. You know, put a big sheet tray of them in the oven, cook them up, let them cool, and that cheese will firm and hold the toppings on pretty well, and then you can put them in the lunches for the next day. And then the next one we have is a whole wheat quesadilla. So quesadillas are great, not only this way to get the whole grains in, but you can also pack all sorts of other veggies in there that they might like. You can add some protein, some chicken or black beans, and then when it's sandwiched in there with the cheese, like I said, once it's in there and melted, it really firms up nice. So once it's in the lunchbox traveling, you're not going to have all of the insides of your quesadilla falling out. So this is a great option as well. And these are really easy for kids to help make too. If they want to put all of the mixings inside the quesadilla, and then you take over from the part of just heating it up and making sure that the cheese is melted. And then another idea for some school lunches is switching out your traditional white pasta for a brown rice pasta. And you could serve it at night and then dress it up a little bit, maybe add a few different ingredients to it and turn it into a cold pasta salad for lunch. Or whole wheat sandwiches, so switching out a regular white bread for a wheat bread and then just making it fun. So maybe looking at different shapes that you can use with different cookie cutters and switching it up every day so it becomes an exciting part of their lunch to be eating those different whole grains. Here's an example of an actual recipe for a Mexican rice roll-up. So this would be a really easy one. And then the only recommendation I would make that's not on the picture here is actually folding in the sides when you make this. And you can roll it up either in tin foil or plastic wrap. And these can go in the refrigerator for a few days as well. They're really easy, really fun. You can pick the different toppings that go in. If they're for younger kids, you probably would omit the chilies that are in there, but maybe they really love olives or something, and you could add those in instead. And this is going to be getting in. You could switch out a regular tortilla for a whole wheat tortilla, and then you also would have that long grain brown rice in there. So you're looking at multiple servings of whole grains within this one lunch. The next ones that we have here are just some different snack ideas. So the first one is a rice cake with peanut butter and banana, and this is, again, just getting really creative to have your kids incorporate those whole grains in a fun way. So this one we've got shaped as a cat, but you could take any different pieces of fruit, cut them in different ways, and they could make different faces with them. You could also use different toppings as well. And then the next one we have is a popcorn trail mix. And so again, you have that popcorn in there that's a whole grain, but you could also add different types of 100% whole grain cereals in it as well. or any other types of snacks that they might like. So this could be an easy way to start little by little incorporating those whole grains. You know, add some things that they're familiar with, and then add in your whole grains as well. Here's another snack idea. So this is one of our whole grain granola bar recipes. So there's a lot of different, you've got the oats in there that are going to be great. These are quick cooking oats, and then we've got some different types of dried fruit. What's nice about these is they're really quick. You can make them up ahead of time. They're great for snacks at home or for lunches, and you can really use what you have at home, what's easy for you. So if you don't have almonds, but you have cashews or some other type of nut, maybe pumpkin seeds, you could put those in. Or if you don't have dried blueberries, maybe you have dried raisins at home or dried apricots. This recipe is really good for just kind of using up what you've got in the pantry, and it's really a good way to incorporate the whole grains. Another recipe idea that we have for a snack is actually a wild rice and carrot muffin. And so this one is posted on our website, but I've actually modified it a little bit to try to incorporate whole grains. So this is kind of an example of what you could do with any other recipes that you might have that you want to add more whole grains to. So we have our quick cook wild rice, which would be your whole grain, but then the regular recipe called for just a regular white flour. And so I've substituted in any type of a whole grain flour that you would like. And then I actually substituted some applesauce in for the oil that's in there as well. So just looking through and maybe making a few little tweaks here and there can really help incorporate those whole grains into your kids' snacks or into their lunches. And sometimes it's easier, you know, maybe if you start with half of the flour is regular flour and half of it is a whole grain flour. And then once they kind of get used to that, because whole grains do have a little bit more of a nutty profile and make more of a denser baked good, then you can gradually start adding more of that whole grain flour and less of the white flour as they're getting used to that transition. So these are the links to the different recipes that we have. So that first one is the Mexican rice roll-up, and then we have our chewy whole grain granola bars. And then we have the wild rice and carrot muffins. And then again, that one's not only got the whole grains, but you're adding some fruits and some veggies in there as well. So that is the end of the presentation that we have today, and we are ready to take any questions that you might have.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. That was such a great presentation. We have a lot of great questions coming in. So the first question I have is from a mom. I'm just wondering if you can explain what a pseudo grain is. I believe it was on the slide in the beginning.
Sure. Yeah. So a pseudo grain is actually not really a grain, but it gets to be in the whole grain family when we're talking about whole grains because it has a very similar nutrient profile, preparation. So we prepare them kind of the same way that we would a whole grain. And we use them very similarly to how we would use a whole grain. But when you're looking at the background of it, it actually comes from a different botanical family than a whole grain does.
Okay, great. We actually have quite a few questions coming in about good carbs versus bad ones, and if you could speak on that. We have a lot of moms that are, seeing a lot, of carbs getting a bad rep, and if there are just better ones that you should be having, and what are the worst ones to stay away from?
Sure. So for good carbs versus bad carbs, for me, it's never really a good versus bad. It's more moderation of the ones that might not be the best choice and eating more of those ones that are a better choice. So those ones that are going to be higher on the better for you side would be the carbs that we're talking about. So a lot of those whole grain, the rice, the corn, those things like that, and then, or any of those products that might have those in it. And then as far as the carbs that might be on the other side of the aspect, we would look at more of those refined carbs, so those ones that have been processed, and we're really pulling a lot of the nutrients out of them. So really you're only left with the starch and a few vitamins and minerals. So you're not getting as much bang for your buck out of those types of carbohydrates than you would of the whole grains. And then even looking down to things like, for instance, fruit. So fruit has naturally occurring sugars in it, so that would be a carbohydrate. And a whole piece of fruit would be a greater option or a better option than something like apple juice. And the reason being is because that apple goes through a process to make juice. When we do that, we're pulling a lot of the fiber and the nutrients from the apple to make the juice. So there's a lot of different options that are going to be better than others. The more whole the food is, the better choice of carbohydrate that would be.
Okay, great. And we actually have a request from a mom wondering if you could just flip back to that side listing out the whole grains, and she just wants to jot some of those down.
Yeah. All right, there you go.
Okay, great. And we have another question on the pseudo grains. A mom wondering if they're just as good as whole grains, or better, or worse, or how do they rank with them?
Sure. The pseudo grains are just as good as the whole grains. They're a great substitute. You know, they have different flavor profiles. They cook up a little bit different. And then you even have some, like I was saying, with the quinoa, you know, it has the essential amino acids, which is great. Amaranth tends to be higher in protein than some of the other whole grains as well. So if you're looking for something that's got a little bit of a higher protein source, you could go to the amaranth or the quinoa, but they're just as great as any of those other grains. And like I said, the nice thing about them is they cook up a little different, so some have shorter cook times, they look different. So if you're tired of serving the same type of grain every meal, you know, quinoa is one that looks, some people say, oh, it looks like little tadpoles in there with a tail, and kids think that's fun. And amaranth is a little bitty round seed, like bird seed that you would think. So just great options. They're giving you the same benefits. If not, you're getting a little bit more from them as well.
Okay, great. We have a question from a mom. I'm wondering if you have any ideas on how to best transition children into eating more whole grains if they currently won't eat them, and specifically switching from white bread.
Okay. Yeah, so if we're looking at white bread, sometimes what people will do is they might go to a white wheat and then to a whole grain wheat. But the other thing is you could also try doing wheat on one side, white on the other side. So it's not as strong. You've got a little bit of white, a little bit of wheat, and it kind of makes it fun too, because you know, if you're putting it in the lunch and they have two different colors of bread showing, that makes it a little bit exciting. And then the other thing too is doing the different shapes also helps, and maybe having them help kind of pick out a new type of bread that they want to try. So if you look at the store, there's all sorts of different kinds of whole grain breads, and you know, some have nuts and seeds on the top, some are just plain. If they see, oh, you know, I really like this one, it's got sunflower seeds on there, and those are my favorite, then that's a good way to just try to get it in there. And then just trying a little bit at a time. But, you know, I know it takes a little while to kind of develop that palate for it. So, you know, you might try it once a week and then twice a week, and then gradually increasing it as you're able to. Also, you know, if you're increasing other whole grains, like maybe you're switching from a white pasta to a whole wheat, we know that has kind of that same nutty flavor. If you're building their flavor profile that way, you'll probably be able to transition some of those other foods as well when you're doing those ones.
All right, great. Those are some great tips. Thank you. And we have a lot of moms just commenting on how much they love the recipes that you showed, and just wondering if you have additional recipes on your website.
Yeah, we actually have a great website that's got a whole bunch of different recipes. You can look by category, so you could go by appetizers, sides, snacks, and you can look on there, and there's a bunch of different ones. And like I said, don't be afraid to play around with them. that's what I did. I went in there, took some, and tried to incorporate more whole grains into them or more fruits and veggies. It's just the start of them, but they're really good.
Okay, great. We have a comment and a question from a mom ambassador. She's on your website now, and she's actually signing up for your newsletter. And she's just wondering what she can look forward to in the future, seeing in the newsletter.
Yeah, so with the newsletter, we often send out, updates on new products coming out, just general information about what we have going on in the company. And then also occasionally there'll be, coupons or deals going out, or maybe, something about a store running a special or something like that. And then we'll also from time to time send out surveys and want to see, what our customers want to see from us, what they like, what they might not like. Just kind of a broad example of the stuff.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And we have a mom wondering, what's the best way to stay in touch with Lundberg? Would you say that would be your newsletter or via social media?
I would say definitely social media is a great way. We have our Facebook page, we have a Twitter page, and we also have an Instagram page that we stay active on. And then another great way is we have a contact us page on our website, and our customer service team is very responsive and happy to answer any specific questions or anything like that as well.
Okay, great. We have a mom wondering, what are your guys' favorite products? So if you each just want to go over what your favorite product is.
Well, I think my favorite product is our quinoa and rice seasoning mix. There's 4 different flavors of it. I think my favorite one's the basil and bell pepper. I like a little bit of spicy stuff in my food, and I like that one because you've got the brown rice in there, and you've also got the quinoa in there, and you get this really unique texture when they mix together. And it's also really easy to make. Cooks up in about 30 minutes. Makes about 3 servings, so you can make it for your family or save some for leftovers. And yeah, what about you, Ashleigh?
For me, I think it has to be our rice cakes. They're very versatile, and we have so many different flavors. I love the honey nut with peanut butter on it, or the apple cinnamon with peanut butter, or the sweet chili, which has a little bit of a kick to it. I love putting like turkey meat on it instead of having bread for a sandwich. Or if I'm in a hurry, I might mash up a banana, put it on a regular one, and top it with some cinnamon. So those are my go-to. If I had to pick a favorite one out of all those for the flavor, oh gosh, I'd have to probably say apple cinnamon.
Okay, great. So we're getting a lot of questions in. Mom's really excited to try all your different products. One of the questions is, which major stores carry your brand?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're available nationwide at most grocery stores as well as natural food stores. From anywhere from Whole Foods, they carry pretty much all of our products, and even Target, Walmart, Costco has a few of our products, and then just most of the mainstream grocery stores as well. If you're looking specifically for a product, also our website has a really great product locator that you can type in your zip code and find specifically where that product is near you.
Okay, great. And if Lundberg isn't sold at their local stores, is there something they can do to get it sold there, such as speaking to the store managers, or something they can do about that?
Definitely, yeah. Speaking to the store manager or whoever does their ordering is a great way to get products in. They want to carry products that their customers want, so letting them know that you're interested in something definitely should convince them to order it. But also on that product locator, there's a request form as well on there that tells us where people are wanting to see our products too.
Okay, great. Very helpful. We have a question from a mom ambassador wondering if you can suggest any ways to incorporate whole grains into smoothies.
Yeah, one of the great ways that you'll see if you're an active user of Pinterest is incorporating oats into smoothies, which is a great one. You could just take regular plain old raw oats and you can add, you know, a quarter of a cup of dry oats, which would be a half a serving or a half a cup of oats, to your regular smoothie mix that you would use. So there'd be strawberries and bananas and a little yogurt, and blend that up. And that's a great way, especially if, you know, if people are on the run in the morning and they're trying to get in their whole grains, but they don't have a lot of time. You're getting your fruit in there, and then you're also getting your oats as well. I haven't tried any of the others, though, but I imagine you could probably mix some of those other ones in. But oats is typically the one that you'll see that's used in smoothies.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. We have a couple moms inquiring about gluten-free products, and if you could go over some of your gluten-free options from your brand.
Yeah. So the large majority of our products are gluten-free. Rice is naturally a gluten-free grain, and so yeah. Everything that we have is gluten-free, with the exception of a couple of our side dishes that we've incorporated durum wheat berries into them. So yeah, we have on our website pretty clearly stated on each of the products, you know, which one's gluten-free. But like I said, it's everything except a couple of our side dishes.
Yeah, and I think those are all pilafs, all three of them.
Yeah.
That's an easy one.
Okay, great. We have some mom ambassadors just wondering about the Lundberg family themselves and if they still work for the company, or just a little more history on how the company got started and if they still are involved in the company.
Yeah, definitely. So our family started with four brothers and their father, who started, you know, growing rice, and then decided to, you know, they saw a market for, you know, a better quality rice out there, and so decided to build a rice mill, start milling them themselves, and start selling it up and down the coast of California out of 50-pound bags, and it's kind of grown there ever since. Right now we have third and fourth generation family members working in the company, and yeah, so like our CEO is a third generation family member, and then some of our VPs are also third generation family members, and then next generation down, fourth generation, one of them works in farming, and I'm actually a fourth generation family member, and I work in marketing.
All right, great. Very interesting. We have a question from a mom ambassador, just wondering about the sustainability you had talked about earlier, and just wondering what some are sustainability practices that Lundberg uses.
Yeah, definitely. Great question. So Lundberg has really been an early leader in organic farming. We were farming organically before it was, you know, defined standards by the USDA. You know, also energy conservation, renewable energy, providing safe and fair working conditions, and many other practices that are environmentally and socially responsible. Our core values are continuous improvement. We know there's always more to do when it comes to sustainability, and we really want to inspire greater change just beyond us. We put out a sustainability report each year that chronicles our progress in reaching our sustainability goals.
That's really good to hear. So we have a question from a mom ambassador wondering if Lundberg Family Farms, if you guys grow all of your own rice, or do you outsource to some other farmers, or how does that work?
Yeah, awesome question. So we grow total, the rice that we use for all of our products, all the stuff that we sell, is about 17,000 acres. Of those, 5,000 are family-owned acres, and then we have a great network of growers who grow about 12,000 of those acres.
Okay, great. We have a question from a mom ambassador wondering if you knew what your current top seller is, your current top seller product.
Yes. So kind of a detailed answer would be, in terms of a single actual product, that is our wild blend rice. It's a blend of black rice, long and short grain, and red rice in there. And then in terms of amount of rice sold, that would be our short grain brown rice. It goes into a lot of products. It's also incorporated into a lot of others. So I guess kind of a twofold answer there.
Okay, great. We have a question from a mom ambassador, just wondering if you could go over, all the different types of products that you guys sell. She, I guess, was browsing your website and saw that you made rice syrup, and she had no idea, and she was just wondering, what are all the types of products you sell?
Yeah, definitely. So we do rice cakes, rice chips, risottos, couscous. Let's see, I think I mentioned chips. We also have multigrain chips. We have a whole variety of side dishes. I think we have about 20 different SKUs of those. And then also for baking, we also offer rice syrup. And I think that's about
Pasta.
Oh yeah, and also rice pasta, and then there's a pasta side dish as well, pasta and sauce seasoning mix.
Okay, great. And are any of your products available for online purchase? We have a few mom ambassadors wondering.
The best place to go online for us, we don't sell directly online, but we do sell through Amazon, through Vitacost, through other online retailers. On our website, at the where to buy section at the top, there's links there to direct you to our online retailers as well.
Okay, perfect. We have a question from a mom ambassador wondering, in your guys' opinion, what are the biggest benefits of adding more whole grains into their diet?
Okay, I'll go ahead and go. And I think the important things that we talked about, one is fiber. That's really important. As I said, feeling a fullness and helping with constipation, but it also helps to reduce the risk of heart disease, obesity, type 2 diabetes, and then also all of the vitamins and minerals that you get from the whole grains. So you're getting all of your B vitamins, you're getting iron, magnesium, selenium, and a lot of this is what you're going to be losing if you're consuming a refined grain. So to me, those are going to be your most important nutritionally that you'll get from eating a whole grain versus a refined grain. And for me, on a taste profile, I like the taste of whole grains better. I really like the nuttiness that it brings and the wide variety. I mean, you wouldn't realize that oats and rice and quinoa are all sources of whole grains, and there's just so much that you can do from them. I think that's one of the benefits as well, is that, they're very versatile. They're easy to cook and easy to incorporate into great recipes, and it kind of helps at the dinner table or lunch if you're getting bored with recipes and what to make. They offer great options.
Okay, great answer. So we have a few more questions here before we wrap up. One of them is if you could actually go back to the recipe page with the links on it, so some people can jot them down.